person with me was not too thrilled. They were freaked out, but that's okay. Anyway, enough about car accidents. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name is Adalia Powell-Boehne. I'm a singer-songwriter based in Cincinnati, part of the band KNOTTS, KNOTTS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been a band?
We've been a band, I think, officially since 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was our first show was St. Patrick's Day in the Northside Tavern.
So 6 years, about.
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day is soon.
Yeah.
And have you always been playing music? When did you start with music?
Yeah, no, I've always been a songwriter too. So I've always been like singing, and even in elementary school making up songs about my gym teacher. So yeah, I've always been.
So singing has been a part of your life. When did playing an instrument come in?
Playing an instrument came in high school. Yeah, I finally convinced my stepdad to teach me guitar.
Oh, so someone kind of showed you the ropes?
Kind of. He'd teach me like a chord before bed every night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Instead of reading a chord before bed?
Yeah, exactly.
And what were you, 14, 15?
Yeah.
I started at 14 too. It's a good
cool.
time to start.
It really is.
It's because if you try a little bit later, not that it's harder, it's life is more busy. You might have a job, you might have a car, you might have a girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever, you might, it just gets harder. When you're a little bit younger, you don't really have any of those. You have time,
You have a lot
lot
of
of
time.
time. So you can get better much faster without things in the way.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of get your bearings, when those things do happen, like college and life and stuff, because you already have a foundation of playing, you can kind of get through it,
Yeah.
But learning at those times, it's hard when you're busy with life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're from Kentucky?
Actually, I'm from Lansing, Michigan.
Lansing?
Mm-hmm.
University of Michigan?
No.
Michigan State University.
Yes.
Spartans?
It's like,
Was
Spartans. The Spartans.
Michigan State University.
Yes.
And then you went down to?
I went to Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Study music technology.
Music technology.
At a weird Bible church music situation. And then
Like a school?
Kinda.
Wait, what did you grow up in a certain religion? That's why you went to that?
Yeah. It was like Kansas City, Missouri, unaccredited music technology program.
Why'd you want to do an unaccredited one?
Because it was more like, you know how if you go to school and they want to teach you music history and crap like that? Like
Crap like that?
Yeah. So like I wanted to just get in there and like Jesus music, yeah.
Oh, that's not crap.
No, I wanted to just get in there and learn how to record, There wasn't a lot of programs like that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that I knew of.
This?
It was like 2008.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, did you graduate in 2008?
Yeah.
So did I. We're the exact same age.
Okay, I think we talked about this last time I was here.
I was born in December, 89.
Okay. 90 February.
Oh, well, happy belated 34th birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're same grade. We graduated high school in May 2008.
That's so cool.
Look at that. But you were graduated in Lansing.
Yep.
I was over here. So you go to Kansas City, music technology.
Yes.
And then from
like
there.
A semester, yeah. And then I just started playing around there and just making a lot of songs in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And then I met my husband there, and then we moved to Cincinnati, where he's from.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
So Kansas City, you said you just did like a semester or two there?
Mm-hmm.
And then you met him through that?
Yeah, he was like around there.
Around there. And then you moved to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay. And what started happening there in Cincinnati? Did you start playing in bands? Did you start writing more music?
So
Pretty young still, right?
Yeah, I was like 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I went to the recording workshop in Chillicothe, also no music history, and just lived there for a couple months.
You really don't like
No,
history,
I don't want to.
huh?
I don't. No, I mean, I just like, let's get to the point. Teach me how to record. So yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
As someone who did the complete opposite of all like Columbia College, audio arts and acoustics, the Art Institute, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was there's not too much. You learn a little bit of history, but it's the kind where it helps to give you a foundation of understanding everything and where it came from.
I've definitely come full circle. Like right now, I'm in a program at Northern Kentucky University.
Okay.
And I'm studying commercial music. And so I'm in music history now. So like I appreciate it now. Exactly.
You were speaking about it from your perspective at 18.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. You want to just get right to it, and
Yes.
yeah, the college stuff, especially when you know what you want to do, the gen eds thing is brutal.
Yeah.
I went through it, and it was just I couldn't pay attention. I just didn't
Yeah.
care. I knew I wanted to do what we just did today.
Yes, same.
What we've been doing is all I wanted to do.
Exactly.
But I get it. I mean, it's just they have to have some type of criteria. And
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I couldn't understand that, and I just wanted to drop out of high school so bad.
out of high school, you wanted
Yes,
to
I
drop
wanted
out.
to just do music.
Wow.
And I talked to my counselor. I'm like, let me graduate early. And they told me I was 1 credit short, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I did get to go just half day. So that was good.
That's cool. I wish I
nice.
got that.
You know?
I also was like, could have graduated a semester early, and I just didn't. I had so much fun my last semester because none of the credits mattered.
No,
Oh my
see,
God,
I
had fun.
regretted it at the in hindsight. I'm like, yeah, you should have just
Yeah.
been a kid a little longer.
I tell it to anyone, especially if they are a little bit of the more intelligence and they clearly could go to college early.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not worth. You have from 18 until you die to be an adult and
Yes.
deal with taxes and bills
All that
and
crap.
death and marriage and all the crap in between.
Yeah.
Stay here as long as you
Yeah,
can. Like it's
definitely.
one semester, just have fun. If you have enough credits, then you have no stress going to school.
Exactly.
You're like, who cares? Just mess
Yeah.
around. Take art classes, take wood shop, take whatever. Take
Yeah.
film classes. Like have fun. That's what
yeah,
I
I
did.
miss that
Great.
time with my friends, you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
hang out with friends. Just
Hang out
goof
with your
around, get in some
friends.
trouble, get a couple detentions. You're done. Who
yeah,
cares?
exactly.
Yeah, I would never recommend the semester early. Because it's just 4 months of life. You might as well just have fun while you're still like underage and stuff,
Right.
you know. So yeah, you went to Cincinnati and then you spent most of your time in that region.
Yeah, so what I was telling you was I went to the recording workshop in Chillicothe, Ohio. It's like this intensive, like you're just recording all the time for a couple months and you're living there. So I did that and I loved it. And then I started working as an assistant audio engineer at a recording studio called the Audio Grotto in Newport, Kentucky after that. So I did that for like 4 years.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Oh, it was so fun.
You probably
yeah.
met so many interesting.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
I know how that feels.
I made a lot of coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, more like that. Like
yeah.
a lot of internship stuff.
A lot of internship stuff, but I learned like how a song should sound. So like it was very good ear training.
And how a song could sound.
Could
when
sound.
you hear like
yes.
abstract notions and concepts,
Yes.
and you're like, I never thought about doing something like that. That's
Exactly.
cool. That's the best part about recording, which I didn't realize what happened is the inside information you get
Yeah.
of how, for lack of better terms, how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And then you start talking to people and you hear their backgrounds and how they came together. It's really interesting what happens when you're around a lot of creative people all the time. You start to piece together a world. You almost understand now like music history and
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
And even how people come together, different personality types. I always try to generalize a singer, a drummer, a bass player, a guitarist, like what kind of people they are,
Yeah.
And because you start to see a lot of correlation.
What's your read on that?
And there's some general stuff. I mean, almost always the singer is going to be more open, at least more comfortable with it. Even if they are an introvert and they write more of those types of songs, a lot of musicians are introvert.
Yeah.
They've trained themselves because they're always the front person to still have to learn how to talk
Yeah.
and be forward and do the merch at the show and book
Right,
the stuff
right.
with the manager and talk to someone to get paid out at the end. So even if they are introvert, which a lot of them tend to be,
Yeah.
that's why they started playing music. They got to hide behind something.
Exactly.
They can't help but still hone in on that skill
Yeah.
of talking to people and getting really good with it. So the introverted extroverted thing doesn't really work well with musicians because they always have to put themselves in a place where
Have
we
to
got to
be
tour, we
both.
got to talk to people, we got to communicate
Right.
with bands, we got to try this, try that. So even if you are, it won't. Eventually, you'll train yourself to get over at least some of that nerve. Bass players are always the quietest by far.
You're right.
At least in what I've seen, they are the quietest, literally in the music industry. Like bass is always kind of overlooked and kind of not thought about as anything, just holding the ground, holding the fort. A little bit more quiet. As soon as you get into stringed instruments and horns, then we're talking music theory and trained people, and that's a whole nother ball game
Yeah.
and I'm a nerd, so I can say this, of super nerds. and I love it because I love picking their brain,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some stuff I could go all day
I love
and
this like
generalize.
astrological signs, but like as musicians.
I never thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
there is a
cool.
lot of things I think that point someone into the direction of what they're going to play based on their personality types.
Yeah.
But yeah, the singer-songwriter types always so quiet, introvert, but they will talk and communicate and do a podcast,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because they have to. You don't
Yeah.
really. You start to realize you don't have a choice if you
Yeah.
want to promote your band and get things out there. You know.
Right.
How many have you always been in bands? When did you start playing in bands?
I started out solo, like
Solo.
acoustic guitar, writing my songs, and it was very like indie folk at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to Cincinnati, and I started this band, and we all had like conflicting ideas of what it should be. So we wrote a lot of songs, but then we didn't like play any shows.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we never got quite out of the garage. But then quickly after that, I just reached out to all these. This is such a funny thing because this is Facebook era where you can see people's like likes and band interests. So I looked up friends of mine that had similar band interests who were also musicians and then messaged them. I was like, do you want to be in a band with me? So then I formed a band that way. And basically that got down to my band, the Saudades, which like a proper Portuguese speaker will say it's saudades.
Do you speak Portuguese?
No, I just went to Brazil a couple times.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Loved that word, which means like longing for something that might return but might not.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's a very good word.
that's beautiful.
It's a good word. So anyway, I started my three-piece band, the Saudades, and we were together for like 2 years. And then I kind of pulled away from that, started writing solo again, recorded a record, and then saw some players around town, which is my current band,
Okay.
and recruited them to come play with me.
For KNOTTS.
For KNOTTS.
And you started KNOTTS 6 years ago.
Yes.
And when you do any recording, because you have experience with it, do you do a lot of that yourself? Do you kind of collaborate? Or do you just let someone else do it?
Yeah. So at first, as you like know, you feel cool because like I can record this myself. And then you realize it will take 100 years for me to record this by myself. It helps me at least to have someone else so I can perform and then have it recorded and it doesn't take 100 years.
Having recorded, I've never had anybody record anything of mine, and it can be longer. It depends on the method. If you're doing like live takes like what we just did, you just get levels, hit record. It's gonna take longer because you got to run around, check the mics and stuff, but you do it enough, it does get quicker.
Yeah.
And then, you just hit record and you play and then you go back and stop and you do that. If you're doing piece by piece
That's how I do it,
into like a metronome and you're building a whole album, I've done that. It can take quite some time. You can only play your guitar so close to a computer monitor before you start getting some hum and feedback from the electromagnetic field. So you can't just sit by your computer and play. You gotta like get away from it.
It's
There's
a lot
of
hats,
things you can't. Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
But I don't know too many people do everything themselves. At a certain point, it does help to have some outside help and perspective,
I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy that whole, like, okay, we have like a week, like deadline kind of thing. That's really cool for me. But I'm hands-on with all of it, like the mixing and the mastering.
Yeah, you have your fingers and all
listening, producing,
That's cool. So it's always like a co-produced, co-engineered, co-mixed. Yeah. That's cool. That's a good way to do it. If you do know a lot about it, it's good to still kind of do it, but you can't do everything.
Yes.
You need some help from somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have certain collaborators you deal with, or you kind of just found a few people you stick with?
Yeah. So like my keyboardist, who wasn't here today, but he's really hands-on with production, and the audio engineer I use all the time is Chad Walbrink, who's Cincinnati-based, but he's really great. So those are the two people that I use on almost every project.
Okay. The keyboardist last me had like the L shape, like two keyboards, right?
Yeah.
Right. He was good.
Yeah. He's got a great production mind.
Yeah. So you were in Cincinnati, involved in the Cincinnati music scene. How is it from your experience? Because I've worked with a lot of bands from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously not there, and I've only driven through. I've never like stayed,
okay.
which I want to do soon, do some live sessions there. We could talk about that, but we should. But what is the music scene like there for you? Because I've heard good things from everyone.
I love it. Yeah. It's a cool scene. There's like a little bit of everything. There's like a really good growing hip hop and indie soul scene. There's like a punk scene, indie rock scene.
So a lot of different
A
stuff.
lot of different stuff.
Are there any conservatories or classical music programs there? Does it bring in a lot of classical musicians or anything?
It does, yeah. There's this cool program. It's more traditional CCM, and that's like a good one. And there's tons of music-y schools around there too. So yeah, you get a lot of cool players. Not a lot of big egos. That's the nice thing.
Yeah. The bigger the city,
Yeah,
the bigger the egos. Chicago's at this like perfect spot where you will get some of that, especially at higher levels. But most people, it's still like the biggest working class city before you get to like an LA, New York.
Okay.
You know, it's right before this, so not too bad. A lot of people are from the area, at least. You do get a lot of transplants that come here from like college and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's not as much transplants in the art scene as like in LA, New York, Seattle, Nashville. You get way more people not from there coming in.
Oh, okay.
And Chicago will have that, but you get a lot of people who are just from here, or at least the suburbs, because our county, I think it might be the second biggest county in the country, next to New York's county, bigger than LA County. So there's like 20 million people. And so everyone's just from like the suburbs, and, you know. But I just love its location as far as like the highways, how it connects, like how easy it is to get here from a place like Cincinnati.
I know, it's really nice.
You know, it's really convenient as far as just going, especially on tour. If you can hit Indianapolis, then here, and then Milwaukee or Madison, Iowa, Dubuque, Iowa City, like there's a lot of stuff so close.
Yeah.
You know, have you done tours outside of the Midwest at all?
We did a little bit in LA last summer, and so that was cool. A different experience.
Like, did you fly there or drive there?
Flew there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to tour out west.
I know. I was praying for my guitar the whole plane ride. Like, please don't mess up my guitar.
I just mean driving city to city when they're 9-10 hours from each other and not 1 to 3 hours.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Like East Coast and Midwest is a breeze to tour. East Coast is a joke to tour. It's like every hour it's another major city.
Yeah.
Out west, when I hear bands, like the best they can do is just like a couple before it's just too much time.
Yes.
Way too much time.
Definitely. And we made a vacation out of it.
Oh,
so that
that's
was
perfect
nice.
then.
Yeah.
How many shows did you play out there?
Oh, we only played one. That was like our one-off show there.
Oh,
it was like
cool.
vacation / playing at the Mint. And so that went well. It was a different vibe.
Yeah.
Like seated, you know? Like
like people were seated.
Yeah.
Seating.
Seated.
People were sitting down there.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
that was cool.
And how many times have you toured besides going out west? Like just
So we've done little runs. This is probably our third little run.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. Wait, does that mean that every little run you've done something with me? Because the first one would have been DZ Fest. Then the last one would have been last April.
No, yeah. Yes.
Look at that.
That's cool.
Every single
You're the
time.
connecting piece.
That has been happening because of the sessions, the podcast, and the shows / fest. It always had a reason to bring people in from out of town. You know, I don't remember. Wait, I'm trying to think who played. There's a couple Cincinnati bands that played DZ Fest.
Lung, I think Silmar.
Silmar.
Yep.
Lung. Hello Luna. Maybe they're Columbus. They might be Columbus.
Yeah.
Obviously Knots. I'm trying to think of other bands. I know other ones. I can't think right now. Leggy.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
I like keep my hand on the scene, you know?
Yeah.
I like to know everybody.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
cool.
you. No, there's more. It slips my mind, but that's cool. I'm glad this has been a reason for some tours. Do you have any other tours coming up or thoughts?
Yes. Okay, so this one is going so well, like knock on wood, that I'm really pumped for July. I want to book more back-to-back things in July. So hopefully we'll be back. We'll see you in July maybe.
Yeah. And you have vinyl.
Yes, we have vinyl.
How many albums out to date?
So this is our sophomore album. I've released an EP and singles in between that.
Okay. Is this the only one on vinyl?
Yes, this is the only full length on vinyl. We have some singles on vinyl that we put out with Soul Step Records, but this is the full length.
That's
on vinyl.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've been wanting to do vinyl forever. It's expensive.
It is.
You got to justify it by like, are we going to play enough shows?
Yeah.
Do we have enough internet presence to sell it through the internet and play shows? Otherwise, why waste, $1,500 to $2,500 depending
Exactly.
on, right? So how many did you get made?
300.
300.
Yeah.
That's a big order.
It was. And I was really scared to open it. I kind of like, when I opened it, I saw things distorted, like I thought it was
It was
messed
wrong?
up. Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I was just so scared about the order.
Yeah. That's cool, though.
Yeah.
Man. And where did you get that record? Where was that recorded?
So we recorded that at the monastery in Walnut Hills, Cincinnati area.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool old church, and we pretty much just did like our tracking there, and then I did some retracking at Tube World at Chad Walbrink's studio, mixing there.
Okay. And when you do your music, working with your band, is it hard to have other things in like another job or any other jobs in life, or is this kind of more of your main focus right now?
Right now, this is my main focus, and it goes in waves. Yeah, yeah.
So you could put a lot of time towards it.
Yeah, right now I can't, and I'm in school, like I said.
Right.
Yeah.
And is this a certain degree that you're going for?
Yeah, commercial music.
Okay, but like a bachelor's degree in
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Finally getting that bachelor's.
Finally, that's cool though. Good for you.
Yeah.
And you said you were going to Kentucky.
Yeah,
for that?
Northern Kentucky University.
Oh, so it's like right across the way or close by.
Yeah, it's very close. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky are right next to each other.
Right, the river just
10
separates
minutes
you, right?
away. Yep.
Okay, so that's convenient.
It is.
But then do you have to pay like out-of-state tuition?
No.
Really?
I mean, if it might be, but it doesn't feel significant because it's a very affordable college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
maybe technically.
There's always that loophole.
It doesn't hurt.
Someone has to like live somewhere for a year, then get that in-state tuition. So I wonder how that worked if you just go right across a border.
I know there should be like an agreement. We're so close. Just let us do it.
If that's the case, a lot of people coming from Indiana and Wisconsin to Chicago for college, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever tried doing like an East Coast, like New York, Boston, Philly?
We did.
Washington?
In 2018, we did a little New York tour, and it was really cool.
Oh, okay, so you have
Yeah.
gone outside the Midwest.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
Do you remember where you played in New York?
Yeah, we played this really cool place. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was called Nabe Harlem, and it was this like Japanese Black-owned like restaurant / venue.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. Then we played Rockwood. Is that what it's called?
It sounds
Rockwood
familiar.
Music Hall.
That sounds really familiar.
I think that's what it's called. And we also played APAP, that conference, APAP conference there we showcased.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you played around a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And what I wonder what about your life, because you said you kind of have known for a while you wanted to be a musician.
Yes,
or
always.
What about your upbringing or childhood that like sparked that? Anything in particular?
I think about this all the time. Like I think about what is so compelling about it that you give your whole life to it.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I was such a quiet kid. I felt so overlooked that it was just this way that I could communicate and like say what's on my mind and be seen. So I think it's like a very, enmeshed with my identity.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Were overlooked like more siblings around in the way? Parents just busy with...
No, I mean, my parents, like, they're great and they fought all the time. And so it's like very, like quiet and like, oh gosh, I don't know how to like be outgoing at the time too. Like I lived in my head a lot. So I felt like, oh, this is a way that I can be seen the way that I envision it in my head. So yeah, I think there's that. And I just loved it. Like I would hear, did you watch The Wedding Singer when you were a kid?
The movie?
Yeah.
With Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music in there was crazy. And they had Journey playing on strings at the wedding. And I was just like, oh, I love that line. And I would sing it to myself at recess, like just trying to remember it. So yeah, I just always totally, enamored by music and the melodies. Yeah.
There's nothing better than when you meet someone who's like exactly your age. And we're kind of from the Midwest together.
Yeah.
So nearly any like pop culture thing, I could be like, yes,
Exactly.
like exactly when it came out. Because you'll meet someone who might be younger and they did see that movie, but they didn't see it in 98 or 99.
Yeah.
When it came out. They probably saw it 10 years later when they were older.
Right.
But when you can like relate on things that really happened in that time,
Yes.
like Titanic coming out and like how big of a deal that was when you're like a little kid. Yeah, it's always funny when you meet someone like that. It's just something I thought of.
No, I know. I love that. And back to like why I was drawn to music and stuff. Also, my stepdad, like I said, was teaching me. I was just drawn to the guitar, especially. Like I was like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Did you have other friends around you in those early ages that wanted to play music too, like 13,
No.
14, 15? Just you?
Yeah, just me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No one around, even at school or anything?
No, not really that my best friend Ashley though, we were in a band like early on.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Who played what?
She's so cool. She like actually knew how to play guitar and she played flute and piano.
Oh, okay.
So it was really cool. And I would play with her. We'd make up these songs. It was really fun.
Don't you miss the days where you couldn't just look it all up on the internet and you kind of had to wing it and kind of guess, and you couldn't just look up every piece of equipment and a tutorial on it on YouTube in HD?
For sure.
You know, and it blows my mind when I meet younger artists, musicians, my students, people that come in here when they don't know what to do. And I'm like, every answer is on the internet. What do you...
What are you doing?
How do you not know what to...
That's funny.
Like, I always think, are you guys messing with me? Like, how does that work? It's like, you have this magical thing. Now you got ChatGPT-4.
Right.
But underneath that, you have this thing called Google that just gives you, like, everything you've ever wanted, or at least points you in the right direction.
Yeah.
When we were younger, in 2004, when I first started playing guitar around the same age as you weren't doing that. You just kind of had to figure out, how do you change a guitar? Strings. It's like, well, let's make some sense out of it. I guess you got to, like, untighten it and pull out that plug thingy and just shove it in there and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so many people, or even now with social media, how easy it is to find people. I'll have students be like, I don't know how to, like, start a band. It's like, first of all, you got friends in real life. And then beyond that, you can just find anything you've ever wanted on the internet. You can put out a call through your Instagram stories and try to find people. You could literally put out ads. I mean, you could do anything. How could you not find someone to play with? That doesn't even make sense to me.
Right.
It's so easy. Like, you did it with Facebook, remember?
Yeah.
And that's an old school way of doing it, but it's not hard now. So I never know what to tell a musician when they don't know something that seems easy to figure out.
But it's like it's all about like that journey, you know? Like you have to go to a show and be like, oh, maybe like I want to play with this person. And you have to, I don't know, like it has to happen different for everybody. And you have to be hungry enough to where like it happens for you. Like,
I guess
you
I just
can't
don't get
figure
the
things out.
uncertainty of it.
No, it's just a little bit like they're lazy. That's it.
Kids, stop being so uncertain.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just go do the thing. I just never had that uncertainty. Like, I don't know if someone will play me. It's like, no, I just was asking anyone. They said, yeah, you do it. If they say no, do it anyway. Like, play with somebody else. Like, the fear, I think there's a little bit too much worry about what people will think. Because everyone,
that's huge.
If you want to not feel that, kids, then don't broadcast everything you do on the internet, and then you don't have to worry about what people think of you.
No, because now it's just like this, it's like expected. I feel as a part of their consciousness. We're going to sound like some old millennials, but like.
It's okay.
Yeah. That's how I think it is. It's like, it's so in the culture, like how many followers I have or whatever. It's just so part of your life. You can't even.
Identity, they don't know how to separate it.
Yeah.
We're in that era where, we're from an era where we're right at the cusp of that.
Yeah.
People our age and some peers, I've seen people our age that do get lost in it and they are acting like they're 20 years old again. And then I see people our age who are like completely off. They're on nothing.
Off the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start going slightly younger and then one more generation, it's, oh my God, everyone is on everything. Sharing all their locations on Snapchat, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would you share your location with everyone? Are you a share your location person?
No, wait. I mean, like, if I'm meeting you personally and like I'm late, I'll share my location with you. But
well,
like,
that's different.
No, I'm not sharing my location on Snapchat.
Right. I don't know.
No, that's crazy. But in another way, they're very vulnerable. Like, more vulnerable,
like
especially online and stuff like that. Yeah, like.
I see, yeah.
You know.
More comfortable talking about things.
Their faults and, like, just humanizing things where I think we're more like, has to be put together.
Yeah, I do know you're saying a little bit more empathy. It's become okay to talk about your feelings and be slightly different, and you won't be so judged or made fun of or called some words that we're not allowed to say anymore, like I was. But it can make it's a good balance. You got to be careful with it because you can go too far, and then everything is just too hard in life, and all you do is verbalize it.
Right.
And that's sometimes a problem too. And you don't want to be the type of person who just keeps it all in and is very stoic and never talks about it either.
Right.
You got to find a good middle ground.
Definitely.
But yeah, I hope musicians don't get too hard on themselves. Trying to do that competition of likes, followers, streams.
You just have to love it.
Yeah.
You have to love what you're doing in the moment or like find enough things to enjoy about it for it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about money. You know what I mean?
If it was, we wouldn't be doing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Money in the music industry.
There is none for
There-
you.
there
for
is
1% of people, maybe.
There's a lot for 1%.
For 1%, there's too much.
That's every industry. There's too
For
much
sure,
for
you're right.
1% and not enough for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I want to do something about. That's
Yeah.
kind of the point of the festival and everything. Try to change it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard though. Once you get at a level where you're trying to do a massive, 10,000 person plus festival, you deal with other people in the industry that might try to sabotage you because it's all about money and business at that point.
But yeah.
And I'm not a business person. I'm just an idea person. And yeah, I don't really know how to fix it without money. You need a lot of money to say you want to start a new streaming service that actually pays the musicians, unlike Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and Google and Pandora and all of the other awful tech companies that I have no problem saying that about. This is probably why I'm not allowed to. No, I'm kidding. If someone came along with a streaming service that the people who ran it and had to do the work to do the coding, the user interface, and all that made a fair amount of money, enough to get by, then yeah, you could start paying the musicians a little bit better. So that's a goal of mine. But you need hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to build an app like that, maybe $1 million. You know.
So you're just talking about like a fair streaming service?
Yeah, just
that'd be
a
great.
type of streaming service that pays the musicians more, way more.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse as to why they're paid so little.
Right.
Anything someone says, they're lying. If you took just the top 10 people at Spotify and took 90% of their income away, and they'd still be very wealthy, then all that money could go back. It's too much. The gap is too far.
Right. They're just too comfortable with cutting corners, in the wrong places.
Yeah, and justifying the shareholders, the board. It's like, screw, they don't know anything about what it really is to be a musician and to survive.
Right.
And if we don't have enough money in the arts, then everything fun ever that everyone does for all things leisure ever is gone.
Right.
Because everything is art, and if it's not art, then it's something that you do that leads towards it, or at least pushes you towards it.
Yeah.
Even if you have the least artistic job, like an accountant for a corporation, I guarantee you're listening to podcasts and music and watching TV shows and wearing clothes. We call it fashion design. And you eat food. We call it culinary arts. And even your phone. I mean, the Apple phone is a design art marvel.
Right.
Architecture, every building you live in. So when people say the arts, it's not as important as STEMs. It's like, you can't have STEMs without the arts.
No.
And in fact, the biggest person in tech that we could probably think of, at least historically, like Steve Jobs, was not an engineer. He was more about the design, the art of what it looked like, how it was perceived. He was literally an artist who just worked in a big tech industry, and it's probably why he was so wild. So yeah, I think we're just losing sight of what is really important. I call it art is the lubrication that makes everything work. You need it for society to have any reason to live or exist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's my rant about streaming services.
I love that rant. And I think it's true. I think in the pandemic that was more clear. We need the arts. We felt like that pang of missing that. And even now with the writer's strike and stuff like that, it's like, ooh, I felt that. Where'd my shows go?
Yeah, you feel it. Movies and shows kind of have this weird slog where they slowed down and things aren't being released. It's funny when that happens. I've been seeing a correlation whenever a TV show has less episodes or more episodes, but the episodes they have in that season, for some reason there's more, they're not good episodes. Who wrote these? They're kind of bad. It's because of somewhere in history, if you watch something from a long time ago and you notice why does this season have 24 episodes and the other ones have 18? And then you watch those extra ones and you notice the storyline sucks. This is not good. It's because they had some type of writer shortage or a writer strike, or they went over funding.
Oh, that's wild.
Or they were underfunded and they have to add it somewhere else. It happens all the time. And yeah, you start to see how important writers, good writers are, because they're creative writers. And whether it be comedy, drama, action, historical, doesn't matter. The writer's strike that's going on, or was going on, because of issues with pay, but also AI, and AI is a big problem. right now.
Yikes.
It's
Yeah.
equally good as it is equally bad, in my opinion. Because I
Yeah.
just know no one's going to use it right. That's the
No one's
problem.
gonna use it, right? And like the amount of time it takes to regulate it will be just
The
way
rules
too
and laws
long.
just can't keep up with
And
it.
I mean, white supremacy creeps into everything. So like, of course, it's gonna creep into AI and ChatGPT and like just perpetuate a bunch of wild stuff. So yeah, that'll be fun to deal with.
It's going to be... That's the problem with it. I'm not trying to be an old geezer. He's like,
For
oh,
sure.
AI, this and that. I don't trust people to use the tool right.
Yes.
I just don't. I think some will, but I think others are going to use it to connive, to cheat, to manipulate, to stalk people.
Right.
I mean, and the list goes on of what you can do with it to deep fake people,
Right.
to do more harsh catfishing than we already have on the internet. I mean, you know,
It's not good.
It's not good. Like, I'm
No.
screwed. My voice, I have so much of my voice out there. My students will use AI to create projects out of my voice from this podcast.
Gosh.
And it sounds like me, but it doesn't speak or act like me.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then today I got some water and it was great. And I like everyone speak like that. I don't even speak that well. I always fumble and like stutter, but
Yeah.
it speaks perfectly, like, as if they don't get all of the nuance and inflections.
Yeah.
Right, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been taking a dark turn a little bit, but I want to say I think the solutions, back to solution-based conversation.
Yes.
I think some of the solutions are just in big, weird ideas, And like, I think that's what throws off the big companies anyway. They're like, oh, shoot, how do we capitalize on that big, weird idea? And if we just keep on coming up with big, weird ideas, I think that will at least keep us afloat a little bit. You know what I
hope
mean?
so. I think having the conversation
Yeah.
like this, talking about it, we do need to find a middle ground, because the AI can replace artists, musicians.
Yeah.
It'll take everything that's ever been made on the internet and make a song out of it. That's pretty impressive.
It is. It is.
It's going to start fooling people. And yeah, there needs to be some rules and laws against it.
For sure.
Making creative stuff. And
Do you
taking
think
that
it will
from
be as
people.
good though? Like, what I think about like is songs that can be generated and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure like maybe one or two, but like, do you think really like artistry can be replicated like to that degree where you can connect with it the same, or like longevity wise?
I do. I used to not think
maybe
that.
maybe it's like an art. You know what I mean?
It's,
He said no, absolutely
what
not.
it is it's the best replicator of all time.
Yeah.
It's just going to take... Well, think about this. How did you come up with making your music?
Yeah.
As a human, you're just replicating everything you've ever heard, seen, but you put this little magical thing on it called your experience and your mind.
Right.
It can't do that, but it has significantly more to pull from to make it perceived that it is doing that.
Right.
Because you only had what you heard around you in the 90s and 2000s in Lansing, Michigan. Now this thing's got a couple trillion points on the internet it could pull
True.
from.
Yeah.
So it could just mimic it. It'll never be it, but it could just mimic it in a level where no one will ever know the difference.
Okay, but see, I remember when people were like, oh, you can just make records on GarageBand. And like, you know what? You can't really make records on GarageBand. Not really. You know what I mean? And
you
I
can
feel like,
if you're a certain person, like famous already.
like very small percentage.
Yeah.
And that's how
Realistically,
I feel about AI. It's like, I don't think you can do all that you think you can do with it. I mean, it's dangerous. It's going to hurt some stuff. It's going to help some stuff. But I don't think it's going to be like, and then songwriters will not,
Give
like,
it 5 years. Come back on in 5 years.
I know. We should have a recap.
We should.
What
Where is
happened?
AI now?
Where is AI?
All right, so it's March 6, 2024. All right, March 6, 2029, we got to talk about it.
Okay.
I used to think everything you're saying until I've been heavily involved in it, and my students use it at school, at the university.
Yeah, I haven't seen it real like up close.
Oh, it's intense, and I listen to a lot of people in the tech industry that work with that stuff, and it's getting remarkably good. And the next one, ChatGPT 5, whenever that is, a couple years, 1 year, it'll be more convenient and easier than the internet, than talking to a psychologist, than talking to your parent, than asking Rick Rubin about production. It'll just do it, because it'll just take everything he's ever said, and then everything else everyone else has ever said about production, and put it into one thing for you.
Oh, that's wild.
And the reason why 20 years ago I would have been like, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But we didn't have we didn't have all this information on the internet for AI to pull from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now we have endless things, Wikipedia,
Right.
Google, this, that. But the problem I really have with it is it's just pulling everything off the internet. What happens when it's pulling lies or things that aren't real information?
Right.
And that's the issue. How does it decipher sarcasm and hyperbole properly? I don't know if it ever. I mean, I'm sure it'll get better and better, but
Well, since we're already on the darkest lane possible, like, might as well just go
You're
for
really
it,
like,
you know?
let's just stay on
like,
this
okay,
dark, yeah.
fine, let's go. So then, do you think then that people will just like not be able to have a credible internet? Like kids will just be like, no, that's true because AI said it was true.
yeah, we already have that problem.
I mean, you're right. You're right. We already have that problem.
It's an issue because the internet, kids, it's also a tool that you need to learn how to use that tool properly. Yeah, no, it's not good. I'm scared, and I'm gonna keep doing.
I saw
it.
the fear in your eyes.
It's just, it doesn't have to be this scary. And unfortunately, I'm going to generalize here because it's fun.
Sure.
And these people have so much money. You could say whatever you want about them. But the
Definitely.
tech people, mostly the tech bros running these things, they are mostly ultra nerds who grew up with wealth, or at least upper class families that went to Ivy League schools. Usually they dropped out to start this billion-dollar business.
Yeah.
Or at least tried to. And they're so involved in that world, I don't think they have a good grasp of like normal life of a person and what it really is and how some of these tools are just too much.
Yeah.
They're too much of a god. You know, we're just peasants. We don't need gods like this in our lives.
Yeah.
They're not real. So I don't think they fully grasp it because they're in their weird bubbles. And the second they get the $1 billion from the venture capitalists to invest, they just skyrocket to a different planet. They no longer can understand everyday human issues, no matter how hard they try. And then you throw on the dash of how they think and their analytical engineering brains. They're just bizarre people.
Yeah.
And they just don't. They need to stop pushing it in this direction so hard without understanding how badly it's going to screw over the other 99% of everyone.
Yeah, that's never been the concern, you know.
No.
The priority.
No. It's just how much money can we make? It's always about money. And it's like, how much money are we going to lose by doing this? You know?
That's a future problem.
But on a positive note, talking about it's good. And then people still trying to do the hybrid of an analog world and a digital world, just like we did today.
Yeah.
We had analog musicians and analog instruments being played with analog microphones and then a digital capture of it because it's convenient.
Yeah.
That's a perfect marriage of both worlds. The digital version is not taking us over. It's not replacing us or anything. It replaced maybe like technicians who had to build analog tape recorders in the 70s.
Right.
You know, but chances are those people just got jobs doing something similar or maybe working on the digital versions, you know. Yeah, so there's some things we can do. And it has some good. That's the unfortunate thing. There is some good with some AI. It can be very helpful.
Yeah.
You know, like people who wear like an Apple Watch, if they fall, the AI and the way that the Apple Watch works will know that they fell and they're not responding. It'll let you know, like, if you don't respond, we're going to call help.
Right.
That could save lives. That's remarkable. You know, and same with some surgical tools and whatnot. But when it gets put into just, you know, Instagram and YouTube.
It's irresponsible, right? Like
Yeah.
when it's irresponsibly
Irresponsibly
put into use. Just let's see what happens.
See what
let's play it
happens.
fast and loose.
Oh, we're seeing what happens. We're seeing a massive decline in mental health.
Yeah.
We're seeing what's happening, you know.
Man, yeah.
Especially in younger women, it's really hurting.
Yeah.
Teenage girls, you know, who have always had a hard time with, you know, when you were a little girl in the 90s, where you would see really beautiful women. It was just like TV, film, a magazine. That's it. It wasn't all day, every day on your phone.
Very valid.
You know, you weren't sitting there all day at 12 just getting hit with girl after girl. And you look closer and you're like, wait a minute. What's OnlyFans? Why are they all on OnlyFans? What's that?
But to push back on that, you have a diversification of those images now, you know.
You do.
Yeah.
You
like,
do have a lot more
there's
diversity,
a lot
which is
more.
amazing.
Yeah, at the time it was just like Cindy Crawford. That's
Yeah.
all you have.
Yeah.
To compare
No.
yourself to. But now, like, you know,
Everyone's
we have
being represented.
Remy Wolf. We have all of these different cool people on there.
I agree with
can
you.
Say, okay.
That is totally a great thing that's happened in the last 10 years, 15
Yeah.
years of more people of different ages, heights, gender, race being
It
represented.
feels a lot of like pick your poison. Like the algorithm will you know, nourish or poison you the way you prefer.
Uh-huh.
You know, so like if I'm still at one of those oppressive beauty standards. I can get that all day long, or if I want to branch out, I can.
I know.
Yeah.
Only if they had our 34-year-old minds to rationalize it, you know?
I mean,
That's the
I think
issue.
the solution is for them to just grow up quicker.
You know, because you're totally right, but 14-year-old girl right now doesn't really think that way. We got 20 years on her brain development.
Right.
You know? So now I love it because I can pick and choose. I have the control because I built it in because I didn't have the internet while I was developing. But now when it's just normal, if you don't have an iPhone at 15, you're like truly like ostracized. You can't relate to anything. You don't know what's going on TikTok or Snapchat or which Kelsey brother's doing what with Taylor Swift. You don't know any of it.
Right.
And so you're just completely lost, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't as fast-paced moving back then.
It wasn't. You know? It inspired a lot of art, too, like a lot of music. I think that there was that, like, annoyance with how perfect everything was, and that's why you wanted to make this, like, gritty feeling music that, like, was never going to get played on the radio. You know? I think that was a big motivator for all that art.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the radio. Whatever happened to the radio? Did you grow up listening to a lot of radio?
Yeah. I found music through like the library CDs and the radio, the college radio station. I never really, I had friends that did the Napster, but.
You were a law-abiding citizen.
I guess. I don't think I was that technologically confident at that time.
Okay. I see. I had older siblings and cousins, so I wouldn't have been doing it at 8 and 9 when it came out.
Yeah.
They were, so I learned it.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, going to the library, get some CDs, bring it back. You got a CD burner on your computer. You burn it, make some for yourself, give it to your friends. Your friends do the same thing. You start trading.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Time.
So many great felonies broken. I love it. Statute of limitation is passed, thank God. But yeah, no, I mean.
Yeah, getting that mixtape.
Oh, it was so much fun getting it from then Napster came along and it blew my mind, but it was slow, especially on dial-up.
Yeah, you had to wait. I mean,
I would do it at night. Leave it on, turn off the monitor, not tell my mom that the computer's still on. I'd put a little piece of tape over the LED light because she would check. Is the computer off?
It's off.
And it's off. And then I would download like Blink-182 and Sum 41 and Linkin Park. And it took forever to download overnight, just audio.
Yeah.
And the audio was terrible. It was like, 64 kilobytes per second. Like the worst quality MP3s, you know? Mm-hmm. But it was magical. It's like, I'm getting this for free off something imaginary in the sky. Like it didn't make any sense.
You're like somehow
it's just here. I just thought people would upload it for us. I thought it was not. I didn't even know it was illegal. Yeah. I just thought it was like, oh, it's for free music. People are just putting it out there for us, you know. And then I think it went from Napster. Then we went to Kazaa. Remember Kazaa?
Nope.
And then LimeWire. Remember LimeWire?
Remember LimeWire.
And then my last one, Pirate Bay.
Okay.
Good old Pirate Bay.
No.
You never used it?
Mm-mm.
No. I haven't done any of that stuff in a long time. I've been always buying music, especially.
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy buying vinyl and local music. Even
I love the vinyl resurgence. That's some hope in the world.
That is. I agree with you on that. We'll bring it to a positive message now. Yeah, the vinyl resurgence is great. Mm-hmm. So you've been collecting vinyl for a bit?
Yeah, and I can't don't quiz me on anything or ask me. Yeah, no, I go to the record store. If I see something I like, I'm gonna buy it.
I'll quiz you.
No.
What is vinyl made out of?
Please, no. Plastic. I don't know.
Yeah,
it needs to be better recycled materials, probably. But yeah,
I would say it's probably made out of vinyl plastic. Don't quiz me.
Yeah, don't quiz me.
So you go to a lot of local vinyl stores?
See, you're quizzing me, but
You don't go to a lot of local?
No, I do. I'm like, hey, please carry my vinyl, But while I'm there, I'll probably pick something up.
I love how me asking if you go to vinyl stores constitutes a quiz.
You know what? I think this is what it is. So the same feeling that I would have going into the guitar store at 14.
Yeah.
With all these dudes that are playing forever and who are going to give me crap about what I need or what, whatever. I feel like it's similar to the vinyl heads. I'm like, y'all are so serious.
Yes.
And I have to
you.
hang.
No, I don't go beyond a few rudimentary questions.
Yeah.
How long you been collecting for?
Yeah. Do
you go to local places? You got some cool record stores by you? Do you have a favorite one? Mm-hmm. And do you have do you listen to it have a sound system or is it a little blue? What's your sound setup?
Okay.
I don't go beyond that because once you go so far beyond that and you have all that knowledge, which I have acquired, you realize how little people know about the nerdy stuff. Mm-hmm. So you sound like a dickhead always going like, well, you don't have this, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Same with the gear I have. It's
Right.
like, unless someone comes in, like your guitarist, when we were talking about amps, I was like, oh, I could start talking more. He
Yeah.
knows about that stuff.
Yeah.
I could tell by what he's saying. But if he didn't say anything, I wouldn't be like, that's a 1977 Fender Twin Reverb. It's 135 watts, two 12-inch speakers. It's
Yeah.
got six L6 preamp tubes and four, it's like, no, like I wouldn't go that
Yeah.
far. You sound like an idiot. You sound rude.
Yeah,
It's
it's a funny thing.
No,
like
you keep it simple unless someone
Yes.
starts to indicate they know more. Then
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, we could start digging. But I would never do that. It's where what you were kind of bringing up about those guys, you were getting to
Yeah.
mansplaining type stuff, right? And because the music industry, as you know, has been mostly male dominated, heavily, only very recently has there been a massive insurgence of more female fronted things and
Yeah.
female leads and things, which is great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I've been on the curve of that one for a while.
Nice.
I remember listening to like so many indie rock, like female only stuff in high school. I got made fun of so much. Got a lot of, lame, gay type stuff. And I'm like, dude, it was something interesting. I was like, first of all, I kind of enjoy the timbre of the pitch range of
Yeah.
women a little bit
Same.
more. It's a little more pleasing to me personally. But the second thing is, it was the lyrical content and the delivery was like nothing I never heard because, and I think it has to do a lot with being kept in the shadows,
Yeah.
the suppression, issues with being always behind the scenes when men are in the front with the music industry and in society in general.
Yeah.
So the pressures came out in a more unique, honest, creative way, talking about stuff that's truly heavy, and then there's nothing wrong with this, but not a bunch of guys in the 70s kind of ripping off just blues and jazz for black men in the 50s and 40s.
For sure,
Because that's
yeah.
kind of what happened with Elvis
Yeah.
and anybody beyond that, Led Zeppelin. I enjoy these bands, but I know exactly what they did.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. So I think finally that was being released in the 90s and 2000s from a lot of female artists in pop, but not so much pop because that was so male controlled.
Yeah.
In underground stuff, in
Yeah.
indie, avant-garde, experimental, yeah, and I always just found it was just something I never heard before because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
It took many different waves of feminist movements and technology to be finally where anyone can do it and show it,
Yeah, definitely. And then you even think about like you have all these really cool audio engineers now, like Caroline Polachek producing and like people getting in on their own sessions. And so like now you have this cool wave of female like sound, like female
Yeah.
audio. How, yeah,
It's cool.
very cool.
And the thing is, there's no need to feel weird or if you aren't a woman, there's no need to feel weird or like, what about my thing? It's like, no, it's the internet, man. There's room for everyone.
Everything.
The internet has no bounds. There's
Take a
room
seat.
for all of us. So
Definitely.
everyone do your thing and
Yes.
collaborate and support. We can all rise. It has nothing to do with them or you. It's all, all
Right.
of us. And it's an issue some people have, Yeah, but I'm sure it was difficult. I know a lot of women, especially 20 years ago coming up when you first started. Yeah, you go to a
Such.
shop and everyone's just like, you don't have a say, I'm sure.
Oh, like there's this time I went to Guitar Center and was like, okay, I need some monitors. And they're like, for who? I'm like, for me.
Yeah.
That's a wild question. Like, that's a wild out-of-pocket question.
I don't trust Guitar Center as far as I could throw Guitar
Yeah.
Center. I've gone there, and one time I went there, and I asked for the most popular microphone ever made, the Shure SM57. So popular. I asked him for him, and the guy's like, wait, what mic? And I was like, SM57? He's like, oh, we don't have that here. And I was like, you don't have the most popular
you
microphone ever made at Guitar Center?
Oh my
I'm like, it's
gosh.
right there in the glass. I could see. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh my God, how could you not know that answer? Like, how could you work there and not know it? And like going to the
Yeah.
guitar section and be like, I need a Fender Stratocaster. Like, what is that? I've never heard of that one.
It's so funny how much ego is in like knowledge, music knowledge,
Yeah.
lack of music knowledge. It's like, I'll just tell you the wrong thing. I'll just say we don't have it because I don't want to say I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, you have to let go of the ego. And it's funny because
Yeah.
in my experience, everyone, men and women, old and young, unless they're really rude or jerks, they tend to respect someone who like goes like, oh, I don't know that. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah.
because it means you're smart enough to know what you don't know and what you want to start learning.
Exactly.
And then there's times where you do have an answer. And like when you do, then you say it. But to pretend or try to play it off as if you just know everything is not good. It's going to really bite you when you get older, you know? Yeah. So coming up, being a musician and doing recording as a woman where you were located, you felt like the hurdles and stuff, like it was very obvious.
Yeah, but some of it is like, it's really interesting. Like there's like this dude dance, I call it. Like
Dance?
yeah, when there's a bunch of audio engineers together, and I'm just like, they can't just say like, you're wrong.
Can you give me an example?
Oh no, like yeah, so it'll just be like two dudes and they're trying to record something together, and one dude knows the other dude is not doing something wrong, like is doing something wrong. They didn't plug the thing in, or they didn't turn the gain up or whatever.
Yeah.
But they can't just say it. So there's this whole dance.
Dude dance, that's funny.
Yeah,
I never
like,
heard that. That's
where like
good.
the guy's like, oh, I think there's a connection problem, and then he'll actually like turn up the thing because he doesn't want to tell the dude like he was wrong. So I don't know the dude dance. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, can you just do the thing? And then maybe I come off like a little bit strong. But
yeah, I see what you're saying. That I've seen that before.
yeah.
Yeah, I have made it my life goal to like not do that stuff.
Yeah.
What has helped is going into education.
Yeah.
You get so many questions from students, and I'm like, I can't just make up stuff. Like I'm supposed to educate them. So what you realize when you become more proficient and expert in something, you learn what you don't know, and you learn who to pass it to.
Yeah.
Who can give an answer, and then you know what you do know, and you just be honest about that, and no one can get mad at you. It's like, I know a lot about this, but I don't know a lot about speaker design. You might want to talk to Professor Aaron. He builds them for a living.
Right.
But if you want to talk about recording, talk to me. Like, so you learn that, but when you haven't grown up, and maybe you could still be older, but you haven't grown up for real, you hold on to that stuff, and it's all you have left to show that you're like a man and tough and can survive. It's like, man, we're not in the jungle. We're in a studio. Like, this isn't a dangerous place. You're not trying to survive. You have to learn to get past that part of your mind. And you'll gain way more respect from everyone. And if you're trying to, like, find a partner and date, you'll meet people who actually respect you, and women who aren't annoyed by you by always trying to be right, you know?
It's positive.
Yeah, it ends up being a positive. I'm not saying not be strong or stern. I'm saying just have to be right all the time, you know?
Please don't try to be right all the time.
Nobody is. Nobody is.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I'm sure there's, you know, the man dance you said it was.
Yeah, the dude dance.
The dude dance. I'm sure what would be the opposite. I don't want to say chick dance. It doesn't sound very good. I'm sure, and maybe not in music.
I'm sure there is,
but in like if I went, you know, to buy some cosmetics at Target.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure if two women were there, I'm sure I would get my
What
own.
do you need?
I'm sure I'd get my own version of it. That's like maybe not as annoying or aggressive. Maybe it's a little more subtle. I think it's just like social stuff people do when they
for sure
maybe lack confidence or are afraid of being wrong, you know? Anyone can do it.
Definitely.
But I do know that dude dance. I've been guilty of it in the past, and I try to not do that anymore.
Yeah, but no, that's a valid point. Like, I'm definitely biased to the things that I notice, like with other genders, but it'd probably be in my same gender too. Like,
Yeah, it just looks different and manifests in a different way because we've had so many different things in our lives, you know. It's definitely different. Yeah, I mean, it totally is, because I've hung out with women after someone left, and then the things they say, I'm like, what the? Why didn't you didn't feel that way before? You were having a great time with them, and now they're this, that. I'm like, what the? I don't think like this at all. I don't even, you know, it's just different. And some of it's social, some of it's biological, you know. It's hard to really know fully.
I mean, I think some of it, when you're not being honest in the moment, I think that's a survival, you know, mechanism, like, that has been learned. Like, okay, I can't always say exactly what I'm feeling. Like, don't have that freedom. But when they leave, though, I can really, like, let it out.
Oh, y'all love to do that. So much. You know it. You're smiling like, yeah, maybe.
I mean, but what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, did we have to do that for a long time? So now it's like, it's in there?
You know,
or is it just innate, you know?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Kind of reinforcing each other, you know, and yeah, I was talking about this with my friend the other day. We have a lot of these conversations and about Like, what is anxiety or depression or like a
interesting.
psychopath? Like, what is the point of having that in our genes historically? And I think that historically, anxiety and depression and things that could lead to people being like a lack of empathy, like a psychopath, were for the people you really needed to do the crazy stuff and not have to worry
Just
about
had to cut
something.
off their emotions.
Well, if someone doesn't relate to anybody with like a human being, they have no empathy, then they're not gonna, or animals, then they're not gonna care when they have to throw a spear through a wildebeest and
Right.
open its guts up with a sharp, not even a knife, like a stone,
Yeah.
and then take out like the bad guts and then hand off the good meat. Whereas someone who's not really like that might be like, I feel bad for. Like, this is kind of awkward or weird. They also might be the first to lead in like a battle against another tribe because they don't care about them or their feelings and they have no problem killing someone.
Right.
You know, like, what's the point? How is this advantageous to have this a part of our gene pool? You know, and then anxiety. I think because I didn't know what anxiety was. That word wasn't so popular until like recently.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You know, when you were a kid, how often did you hear?
I never heard that word.
I never did. I never heard hummus. I never heard avocado.
Never heard.
Unless I was making guacamole. And like, you know, all the health stuff now. I
never heard
of-
autism.
No, autism was just like once in a while someone was, but usually I think they had to be further down that spectrum for someone to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think that anxiety, if you have a lot of anxiety, as long as you could put it towards something,
Yeah.
it's really advantageous for focus because
Yeah.
you're so hyper worried about something that you can't focus on anything else. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I probably have that. And if you can utilize it for something good, something you put goals towards your life and you focus on it, it can be helpful. It can be advantageous for a really driven type of mindset. That can't do anything else but that task, hence like an ADD type of mindset.
Right.
You know, but
Which I think we both have ADHD, but I don't know. Have we talked about this?
we could. I don't know.
Oh, you don't know if you have ADD.
I just been told I must have ADD and anxiety and be autistic, and which I'm not. I've taken some fun autistic tests with people who are. And I did not score
Not
what
the
they
same.
did. I was like, I'm not. I'm just
My bad.
strange.
I totally thought we talked about this last time I was here.
We might have. It might be ADHD. Well, so why do you think? Have you been diagnosed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like last year. But
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some things like? What made you feel that way, or should I get
I mean,
tested?
everybody
or,
knew my whole life, but like we just never like got paper signed.
What are some things?
Oh,
that,
like I
some
mean, I leave
indicators?
my stuff everywhere. Not now. Like I figured out how to, Nancy Drew myself and
Yeah.
plan ahead. But yeah, I mean, before is like left my purse everywhere, left my keys everywhere, forgot my stuff, was late all the time.
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
don't
stuff.
have that kind of. I think there's different things that can be it. I don't have that. I am unfortunately the most punctual person of all
Are
time.
you?
Oh my
That's
god.
good. That's good.
But it's because of anxiety. Say you were lived on the north side and it takes 45 minutes to get there from here. And you're like, hey, do you want to come over Friday night? I'm having some people over at 7.
Yeah.
My anxiety mind goes, I would think of every way to get there, what time to leave based on traffic, based on a Friday night, not just in general Friday night, but a Friday night on March 9th Friday night.
Oh, okay,
Because
yeah.
weather and season and sunset and sunrise affects traffic.
Wow.
I'm talking extreme
That's so
stuff.
extreme.
But then I would know every single way to get out because I don't want to be stuck there. What if I get stuck there? So what? I get train, bus, this. I go that way. Well, Lakeshore Drive is going to be faster at that time of night because it's not. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then I will be there exactly. If you told me 7, I would be knocking on your door exactly at 7. I wouldn't be waiting outside. I would have planned it so perfectly that I arrived, parked.
That sounds like a little
Walk.
OCD, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is, but it's controlled because
Yeah.
I use it for everything I do, and that's how I'm able to juggle a gazillion things at the same time.
Yeah.
That's how I was able to do that
It's
because
super
that was,
helpful.
that fest, I was doing 20, 30 jobs at once, and it's because of this type of way of thinking.
Yeah.
You just have to learn to put it towards something that is
Positive.
productive and can give you, some type of reward.
Definitely.
If I didn't, when I did work at jobs where I couldn't think this way, like UPS for 7 years,
It's rough.
it was awful. I would have panic attacks and spiral out because I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. I couldn't utilize
The way you want it to do
It was just throw it here and do this. But even then, I started doing it. I became their fastest employee because I would use the light that shined into the trailer, that shadow, I'd use it to tell my orientation, so I didn't have to look at the belt, and I could just throw packages over my head and it would land on the belt.
Oh
so
my
I could
gosh.
just fly.
That's amazing.
And they like promoted me and made me like a safety manager because they're like, you're unbelievably quick at this and you like know every rule. I'm like, well, if you do all the rules right, you never get hurt. Like they're like, yeah, but no one follows the rules because you can't move fast. It's like, yeah, but if you do them right and do this trick with the light, you can do both. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Like,
yeah, it sounds like a missed opportunity for a documentary, actually. I would have loved to see that in real time.
Yeah, so could be that. I don't know. But the thing is, what I've noticed with people who have OCD, maybe autistic, they tend to get a little bit more flustered or angry when it doesn't go in their plan and their organization or how they want things.
Yeah.
And I don't have that because I also
nice.
learned quickly. I used to be that way. I learned all it does is hurt you to be stressed about stuff you can't control.
Right.
So I will be extremely organized. But the second there is an audible, something changes, I'm like, whatever. I'll just pick back up tomorrow and start with my next thing. Because if I let that bother me, it's going to, I won't sleep tonight because I'll stay up at night. Like I just see all the domino
bad
effect.
that will happen.
So you just ignore. I just don't fall for it.
I find that with music too. Like something will always go wrong. You just don't know what it is yet. You know, like in any show or whatever. Like the other weekend we were playing in Cincinnati and my bassist got sick that morning. I was like, okay, cool. And, you know, and like it was a couple hours before the show. So now I'm like texting my keyboard friend, hey, can you fill in? And like, okay, he can, but he's not going to be able to get here to this time. So then I have to like schmooze the sound guy. Like all of these variables that come into play, but maybe that's what makes it exciting is you don't know what's going to happen in that 30-minute segment.
No, even last night you were talking about some technical issues. Like you weren't planning for that.
No.
It happens. What was just like stuff cutting out or something?
Yeah, thanks for asking about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
No,
We'll
I'm
move on.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Because actually, like, I think you need those times to like humble you in a way. Like, I think it helps you be like, no, this is like a really amazing thing when it all works out. Sometimes it won't work out. So yeah, the other night I went to go play my keys and they didn't play. So I was like, cool. Antoine's going to lead the keys on this one.
Yeah.
So he led the keys. Fine. I go to play my guitar and it doesn't play. Cool.
You're plugged into an amp.
Yes.
Amp's turned on.
Yes.
And nothing's playing.
Nothing playing. Then I say, forget it. Let me take it out of my pedal board and just go direct. Nothing.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was just the craziest gremlin situation.
What was the issue? Did you ever find out?
Never found out what the issue is. My keyboardist thinks like maybe a grounding thing, maybe like their side wall stuff, like inside, because it was like only my stuff.
But did the light up on the amp?
Yep.
So it was getting power.
It was getting power. I have no idea. But it was like good because, you know, of course, in that moment you want to just be like, good night, everybody.
Yeah.
But you just keep it pushing.
Yeah.
And yeah, to like feel that resilience in real time of like, okay, moving on to the next one that doesn't require any of those instruments.
Right.
I don't know. There's a certain satisfaction to be like, we didn't die.
Yeah.
We kept the
You
set
overcame.
going.
Overcoming adversity is so
Yeah.
much more powerful than everything always just working out for you.
Yes.
Because life isn't like that. It's
Absolutely.
chaos. You
And it
have
makes
to
these
come-
like sessions really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, troubleshooting and having issues is part
Yes.
of this type of industry
Huge
because there's so
part.
much tech and there's so many variables and there's moisture and there's humidity and there's floods and there's broken gear and people spilling beer. I mean, the list goes on
Yeah.
of what can ruin something. So when something does go wrong, it's a bummer you didn't find out what the issue was because it
Yeah.
could be a learning experience to know not to let that happen next time.
Exactly.
You know, I never really have a problem with something going wrong. I just want to know what it is so I can make the correction to reduce those as they compound for
Right.
life. But yeah, no, I learned a lot to not have people deal with some stuff down here. I mean, I've had people get shocked and I'm like, okay, I got to rewire the electricity.
That's horrible when that
Oh, yeah.
happens.
It's not
just
fun.
like, zzz.
It's not good. And it's on your lips, so it's extra
Yeah.
painful.
You just have to act like it didn't happen.
Yeah, you're just like, ooh. Well, a great thing to fix that, you just put a nice little windscreen on it, and
okay.
that'll stop you from getting shocked. Electricity doesn't go through this like synthetic foam well at all.
Nice.
It doesn't fix the problem. It just might help for that moment.
okay.
You know, eventually you got to figure out
Well,
why.
that's good to know, actually.
Yeah, why am I shocking people?
Right.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know what my issue is, but I don't think it's an issue. I think it's a superpower if you can just hone in on it and be aware of it and don't let it break you down.
Yeah.
But you said with you knew, everyone knew because you just forget stuff all the time and issues with timing and stuff. Yeah.
Dates and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But like hyperfixation and stuff.
Hyperfixation.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Do the same thing for a really long time. Very focused.
Like what? Like, give me an example.
Oh,
like,
just music.
Music.
Like, time will let go.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's
no,
great,
it's
though.
positive, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
I have no problem with that.
I didn't say all of the were negative, but yeah.
Right. Some people who don't live in that realm of thinking sometimes they're the problem because you're not like them, so they'll make
always the problem.
Right. They'll make it seem like something's wrong with you. Like, why are you doing that all the time? Why don't you do this and that? It's like, what? This is harmless. I'm like at my house working on some creativity,
right?
Like music or an album artwork or a poem, or I'm working on a novel. Like, what? Isn't that better than going to the bar and watching the game where other people get paid millions, where I sit there spending money on overpriced beer, listening to bad music on bad sound systems?
Yeah, that's a detailed list.
Well, it's because that's my reasoning for why I'm not a big fan of going.
100%.
Because it's like I just have. It's such a waste. Now, it's not bad to do those things. Yeah. It's the frequency in which you do them. You know, if someone's like, if you were like, hey, want to go to a bar tonight? I'd be like, I haven't done that in a while. Sure, why not? It's every weekend. It's every day. It's that kind of stuff where you get people who will judge you on the fact that you're doing something every day.
Yeah.
It's like, but look what you're doing. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you even giving me crap right now?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think when people are fixated on something creative, hopefully it's that, because this mindset, unfortunately, can go towards hard drugs or gambling or something.
Definitely.
If you have a mindset where you're hyperfixated on gambling, that's not good.
No.
Especially if you don't have any money.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. Whenever I talk to someone, they talk about some mental health things, atypical mindset and brain. I'm like, most of what they say, I'm like, none of this sounds bad to me.
Sounds good to me.
They all, like, if you could just learn how to get a little bit better with it and hone on it.
Yeah.
Everyone I'm talking about this stuff, like, they have like a superpower. Like, they have the ability to focus and really learn a lot about a thing super well.
Right.
Who cares if you forget some stuff some here and there?
Exactly. Oh no, like
there's tricks to helping with that.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Calendars, alarm clocks, great stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how people did it before. Maybe that's where the negative connotations came from. This is where technology is actually amazing.
Right.
It helps people who have
alarms.
Oh my God. Yeah. All day you could just set alarms for any different thing.
Yeah, that's what I do.
and in doing that,
yeah.
Has it kind of imprinted in your circadian rhythm to where now you can do the thing without the alarm because it's kind of trained?
No, because I still have the time blindness.
Ah.
Yeah. Whereas like if I'm doing something, then I'll like forget about the world. So I still have to be like, okay, you have to. At 10 o'clock, just put the alarm, and then it will trigger like, okay, I gotta do that.
Mm-hmm. So you do, when you are doing stuff, you don't really feel it synchronized with like your circadian rhythm, like time and stuff. They feel separate things?
Actually, I don't know if this is the answer to your question, but I feel more confident with my concept of time. I know like I don't use time the same way as other people.
Sure.
But I know what I need to do and like how to. And I feel like, I actually have more time than I thought more recently. Mm-hmm. So, but like this morning, I'm like brushing my teeth and I'm like, I have to pack my bag right now. So I'm like brushing my teeth and packing my bag and putting it by the door so I don't forget it. So it's like I'm planning all ahead, but I have to do it in real time or I'm going to forget.
I see.
Yeah.
You find a system that works for you.
You find your system.
Do you leave a lot of like cabinets open?
No, I don't. And I don't like when people do. And I don't like when the dishwasher is open all day long.
But what if they said... They have exactly what you have. It's just how their brain handles it.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're fine.
I lived with a roommate who was just an amazing person, but such a classic cabinet drawer. Everything's just always left open. And I would always, I didn't care. I would mess with the person. I'd like take a photo of it and text it to them. Like, I would just like, and then
that sounds passive aggressive.
No, it was our like type of relationship.
Okay,
yeah, he would like do similar stuff to me. It was just funny. I mean, I stopped doing it because I was like, he eventually this might just become annoying because it happens so often. You know what I'm saying? Like every day your phone's just getting hit with photos of open cabinets. You probably won't like that.
Sure.
So it was like once in a while I would do it, especially if it was a funny circumstance, like what's in the cabinet, you know, stuff like that. But you know, I never understood. I think people with anxieties and mine's OCD and they're. I hope that they hear this as an announcement of passion and love to not let people who aren't like that kind of get to them. Like, don't overthink it so much. It's just your mind. Just learn to work with it. It's all you have, you know? So just find ways that work within your world.
Definitely.
If you have time issues with time, utilize the crap out of your alarm clock and your calendars and notifications. Hey, and maybe a year after that, you might start training your brain to like synchronize it with circadian rhythm and time, and you could start getting better at it. You don't even realize it. So like, don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of that came, I don't know if for you, but a lot of that came for me from seeing like teachers and how they react and like how they're like, you're never going to survive in the world. With, you know, it's like, oh shoot, like I'm never going to survive in the world. But I think, yeah, maybe the world's becoming a little more accepting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Different kind of ways of thinking.
Yeah, when a lot of my students will email me with things like this when they when they miss a day or whatever, and I'll just talk to them privately about it. I'm like, listen, I get it. It happens. I'm not like mad at you or anything. Like you're not in trouble. Just know that the rest of the world isn't so lenient. They don't know you. I've come to know you. You're my student, so I know you. If I don't know you and you're coming in for a job interview at a nice job and you're an hour late, they're probably just not going to hire you.
Yeah.
So if you have an issue with time, then like set 20 alarms that morning.
Yes.
Like find ways to use technology to your advantage. Focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
It's okay that your mind works this way, but like you got to have to find a way to make it work because the world has a certain way it works. And if you don't fit right into it, you're going to have to try other stuff to help. And that's okay.
Yeah, and the world will admire like how your uniqueness, for one thing, but also I feel like there's going to be like a time where it feels really tense. Like maybe you feel like you really aren't going to fit in, but like you said, over time, it will get better.
It's usually like high school, early college years.
Yes.
Like I'd say adolescent, like puberty, is when this stuff really starts to take shape. I'd say between like 12 and 22. Is when this stuff is usually like its worst, and it was terrible for me. I mean, I was awful in school. I was awful with like almost everything I did then, and it's because of my way my mind works, and I didn't know how to like work with it.
Yeah,
I was just working for it. I didn't know how to work with it, and now I know how to work with it, and everything's fine.
Yeah,
like so much less stress because I just understand what I can and cannot do. My abilities,
Yeah, I think people should be more like upfront about that. Like, hey, I don't really want to hang out with people. You know what I mean? Like, just be honest. Like, actually, no. Like, I'm at capacity. This week with people.
Yeah, is that how you feel?
Oh yeah, not currently, not in this present moment. But yeah, I feel like I would like to be more transparent. Like, I just kind of want to sit by myself.
You have a really good tell in your eyes when you're like, you just really quick eye flutter and they go back and forth.
That's really funny.
You're like, I'm not busy. Like, you do that. And it's like, oh, I see. You're kind of like trying to soften the blow of how you really feel.
That is so funny because I was recording our rehearsal one day and I think like I'm good at being diplomatic and like everybody's doing great. But no, when I was watching the video, I'm like, oh, you can tell right away when I'm not.
You're just like, we should do another take,
Yeah,
It's like a little giveaway. You're like, she doesn't like it.
Dang, my face really betrays me.
Some people do more than others, Usually I think that's like what you just did it's a more like innocent thing. I'm sure if you're in a really serious situation, you might not do it as much, No,
like I'm glad. Like, please know how I really feel. You know what I mean? Like, if I can't articulate that, I'm glad my body does not betray me.
Oh, that's so funny. So you find yourself to be a little bit more of an introverted type of individual?
It's like a mix, you know? Like, sometimes I really love being around people and love that whole, like, idea of that. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I would like to go now.
Which one offers you more peace and like energy rejuvenation.
I really feel like they're symbiotic. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they need each other. You know?
I agree with you. I never understood the extrovert introvert because I feel like a perfect hybrid right
Yeah.
down the center.
Yeah.
I spend so much time alone. I'm sure you
Same.
know,
A lot.
and I spend so much time with people.
Yeah.
And I enjoy both. And it's funny that exhaustion you feel when you feel relieved, like after you finally got
Yeah.
home from like a party and you're just tired from all that.
Yeah.
It's like the inverse of the feeling you feel when you're about to go hang out with people. You're like, oh, I'm excited to finally go see my friends. I'm
Right. Yeah,
excited.
that's true.
It's like the exact same thing. And that's where I'm like, you kind of need a little bit of both. But I mean, I do know people who are like, I cannot hang out with people like this
Yeah.
week. I'm just done. I want to be
Yeah.
alone on a Friday and watch a movie with no one around. Like, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
I will do the same thing, but Saturday I'm gonna hang out with some
Yeah,
people.
for
Because
sure.
Friday I didn't. You know, I kind of like
Yes.
split it.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I get too in my head if I'm not around people. Like I need some people.
Yeah, it's sometimes you're like, am I crazy? Is this real?
Oh, real quick. You go to Am I Crazy real quick.
Right. Oh yeah, real quick. One day of not seeing him, like I think I need to talk to someone about him. I think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
No, I mean you can get stuck in your own head. Your own head. You could build a world that is real as it ever will be, but it's just real to you, and you
Yeah.
don't actually have anything to wait against. So I think that's why socializing is so fundamental,
important.
because you start to manufacture this strange like archetype of a world, and it's not weighed against anything to give it validity. It's why I mean, I'm not going to talk about politics because I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm so done. But something that's important, that should be more important in that world, that translates to everything, is communicating and working and talking with the people who aren't like you,
Yeah.
who don't think like you.
Probably the most important thing.
It's the most important thing. They suck at it in politics,
Yeah.
but yes, and that's why I like the music industry so much, because
Different
just today,
people.
I mean, is everybody from Cincinnati here?
Yeah.
Besides you.
Yeah.
Right. So they're from Cincinnati. You're not.
Isaiah's from Cincinnati. Jordan's from Carrollton, Kentucky. But yeah.
Right. So Kentucky,
Yeah, yeah.
Cincinnati, Michigan, Chicago.
Chicago.
And we're all from different places. We all are different ages. We all look different, yet we're having a great time. I'm learning something. I'm seeing different things. I'm hearing different conversations.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care about someone's religious or political background. I just are we having fun? Are we creating something? Did we do the task at hand?
Yeah.
And was it pleasant, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a communal thing. I think one of the most incredible things in the world is like collaborating on a song. I mean, it's crazy. Like we're all playing something that goes together, but different textures of that and our own spin on it, and just like maybe a beat right before, beat after, you know, and feeding from each other. It's like a whole experience. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, to get really like poetic, like I do not exist if you do not exist. You know what I mean? It's really like that in life. We don't feel the like depth of that all the time, but like I can't, you know, even get here without the mechanic, without the person and the neighbor. It's like
Yes.
we're all so connected.
Way more than we realize.
Way more than we realize, and we need to bounce off those like crazy ideas. Like, am I crazy? And then your friend's like, no, you're fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then a really good friend will be like, yeah, you're kind of crazy.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay,
okay.
let me figure that out. Definitely.
I do that all the time with my friend, and he does it to me, and it's perfect. We're not rude about it. We're like very honest. We don't do it
Yeah.
on other people, so it's not like
amazing.
the
No,
worst is when
that's-
people do it in front of other people, because then it's not the
No,
same.
it's
Now
not the same.
It's a flex. It's trying to pick on you. When it's one-on-one and someone's like, you need to chill out. It's gonna be okay.
Isn't that like your favorite person in the world?
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You know, a great partner does that too. You know, like, hey, I love you, but man, you need to relax. Like, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Nobody cares about the little stain on your dress. They did not see it.
No
I
one saw
promise
it.
you.
Yes.
You saw it because you made it and you know about it, but no one else did. In fact, they're drunk and they're worried about their own stains. So they're not worried about yours.
In fact, they
You know?
couldn't possibly get past their own states.
It's what I tell anyone who's nervous before having to go do something in front of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, nobody cares about you. You almost have to say the opposite of what they want to hear.
Right.
Nobody cares about you. They don't really like you. They don't know you. They're going to forget about this in 2 seconds. So who cares? It
Right.
does not matter. In fact, they're all worried about themselves in the crowd. They're about their breath and their BO.
Yeah.
Did they take a shower too early or too late? Is that girl going to go home with them? They're not worried about your speech or your performance. Like, they're not. If they love you and they're friends, they might be a little more engaged, but they're going to love you anyway because they're proud that you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
Either way, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's all in your head, and it makes performing a lot easier when you really start to understand that.
Yes. Yeah. And like sometimes maybe you didn't play the best, but like the experience, it was like the vibe, you know?
Yeah. And most of the time, unless you play really badly and they're big fans of music and they know it and they can weigh it against your album, when you're just performing in front of friends and fans, maybe just new fans, they don't know what you're doing, so they think everything you did is intentional.
Yeah.
They have no idea that you flubbed. They thought that was just part of it.
Yeah,
they don't
generally people just have no idea.
They don't know. And unless you're a popular musician and they really, really know your music, then they will notice.
Right.
That's different.
Yeah.
But if you're that popular to where they all know your songs, you should make enough money to where that's your only job and then you should perfect it. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, in our situation, it's like, it's not that no one cares. They don't care as much as you think they care.
Yeah.
They care. They went there. They paid for it. They want to see you or they are interested. But it's superficial. They're not like, can you believe her earring is 2.5 inches and not 2? Those glass frames, why are they clear? That's so lame. Like, oh my God. They don't. No one really cares. They're worried about that stuff on them, not on you.
Definitely. I mean, there is a difference. Like, and I think with different crowds, like if you're in Nashville, it's more like people are thinking about it from a music lens. Like, how complicated are your arrangements?
Sure.
You know, so it's like, oh, okay, that's an interesting perspective. Or if you're in like a dinner situation where people are like eating, they're mostly just kind of hanging out with their friends.
Yeah, chit-chatting.
Yeah, so it's not as pressure.
That's a good point. It really depends on the circumstances.
Yeah.
I was thinking just like a general, like what you're doing tonight, just it's a music venue.
Yeah.
There's no food. There's just people hanging out in a space that's designed just for music.
Yeah.
Just crowds standing up, looking straight at you. No one's sitting in a theater seat at a certain angle.
Right.
You know, it's just people standing room only. So with those, you kind of can assume like, I should not overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Like it'll be great.
Yeah, unless it's like televised or streamed with like millions of people watching, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
How long did it take you to like kind of calm your nerves with playing and performing? Because you sing, you're a front person, you write, so the eyes are more on you than anybody else.
Yeah, I'm always a little nervous. If I'm not nervous, then I'm nervous that I'm not nervous.
Right. Then I'm like, am I a psychopath? Why am I not nervous right now?
Yeah.
No, nerves are good. You just don't want
good.
debilitating ones.
Exactly.
The kind where you're in the bathroom throwing up and shaking. Like, you don't want that.
No.
You want to feel butterflies and be a little like a little anxious, you know? It's good.
Yeah.
It means you're a human being with feelings.
For sure. Yeah. So, like, I think there was one show that really helped with that. We were playing Fountain Square, which is like a bigger outdoor stage in Cincinnati for the first time. And I over-prepared everything. Like, I over-practiced, did my hair, over, like, outfit and everything. And before we got in, I was just like, I don't know if I can go on. I don't know if I'm going to sing. Like, and I'd never felt like that before. But after I played that show, I was like, okay, I can do it. And next time, like, just don't over-prepare so much. Like, it'll be fine.
But that show was a great learning experience for you.
Yeah.
You learned, you set the threshold so high of stress and pain, and then you get past that hill and you're like, man, I was really overthinking it. Like, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And now that I set that pressure so high, everything is going to be easier because it won't be so heavy on me.
Exactly.
You know? You have to kind of suffer a little bit for you to start to become comfortable.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, it's the resilience thing. Like, you don't die all these times. Like, you can get past it.
Oh, yeah, with cars. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
I thought we were talking about that one. You're talking about not driving on the highway.
I guess I'm just talking about with the fest and everything, where there's so much stress coming all the time that you just have to be like, we're going to survive whatever.
Yes.
Whatever gets thrown at us.
Yes. I mean, it's where you get the classic, like, you know, old dad who just nothing bothers him as he sits in the chair and he's like 60, 70. He's like, I've been through Nam. I work in a warehouse. All my friends are dead.
Yeah.
Like, I watched my parents die. I had to milk the cow on the farm as a kid. You know, so-and-so got kicked by a horse. Like, they've seen it all. They're just like, nothing phases me because the threshold of pain and suffering is so high that you getting a splinter or stubbing your toe or having to change your tire, like, that's fine. This is nothing. Like, I feel nothing. It's just something I have to do. To keep going, you know?
And I think that's probably common of most older people.
Yes.
Is they're just like, it'll be fine.
My parents are like that. They're just like, I mean, I'm already like that. I'm 34. I think it grew up too quickly. But, yeah, they're just nothing phase. Every time a person's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's just like, okay, like, yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, there's another day's tomorrow. There's a new day.
Right.
You know, I wish people would kind of get better at that. I think too many people, I think sometimes it's for money. Like on the internet, they'll take something really seriously and put it out there. I can't believe this. It's like, oh, you either want attention or money because this is so frivolous and pointless and has no like weight to it. Mm-hmm. And there are things that do. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about the stuff you're like, you read it and you're like, all right, next thing, please.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of that, too.
That's like a weird thing where people feel so confident about being vulnerable that they're like, you know, I stubbed my toe and it was horrible. And it's like, okay, you're wasting everyone's life, including your own.
Please cut off your toe. No. No. Some of the best part about the internet are the obnoxious trolls. And not that I agree with what they're doing. I'm old enough and smart enough to not let it bother me. Yeah. Like on my own YouTube and stuff, stuff people, just random avatars just saying crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And you just look at, you read it and you're like, what the heck? Like, where did this come from? Like, who is that? Why are they taking time out of their day to like trash someone they don't know like this badly? Like, your voice is shit. You look like you look like a Who from Whoville, like all this stuff.
Jeez,
and you're like,
at least creative, but yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you should probably put this creative writing into like a book or become a comic book writer. Like this is, you're kind of funny. Maybe you should be a comedian, but man, you're wasting your time doing this.
Yeah.
You
know? What do you think? Why do people do that?
Oh, I mean, first and foremost, some of it's going to be just a big generalization of just mental health problems. That's some of it. Another thing is it's not necessarily mental health problem. It's the new frontier of anonymity that we've never experienced before.
Like
20 years ago, if I wanted to say something about you and your band, I either had to like write it up in a newspaper and be a journalist and put my name on it, or I had to say it to your face, which you wouldn't. I wouldn't be like, I saw KNOTTS. You guys are awful, hot garbage. No, they wouldn't. If they didn't like you, at the very worst, they'd just be like, yeah, it was okay. You guys are good. Like, that's it. But they would never, on the internet, though, when you get to hide, get to put that wall up and hide, you feel like you could say whatever you want.
Right.
You know? And I think it taps into people's, lower mind, the smaller brain and ego and id. I don't know, but it taps into something people really enjoy.
Yeah.
Doing it, or they not even enjoy doing it, they just don't care. Like, it's like it doesn't faze them because they're not seeing a reaction from your face. It's like a mic
drop, too. Like, no one can respond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you could just mic drop.
I guess they can respond, but maybe in the moment it feels like... Because I don't know why I comment on TikToks. Like, I'm like, this is compulsive. But, like, I feel like I related to the video. No, like, just something, like, I don't...
Positive?
Yeah. It's something positive.
That's good. I feel like nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, I wonder what I get out of it. I guess maybe I feel like, maybe people will think what I said was funny or insightful or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're just a nice person who wants to give joy to somebody else. Because if you see a good comment and a like, and someone distinctively picks out, like, I really like this song. It made me feel great. I listened to it on Sundays. Yeah. Like, I've heard that comment to a song that I worked on before. I'm like, that's...
super encouraging.
That's so nice. You're like, wow, someone actually, like, listens to this. Like, it changes their mood and moment in their life.
And they took the time out to tell you that.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. That's fine. When it comes to a negative comment, because it's subjective, you land in a world where in order to do that properly, you have to have a proper conversation and debate. When it comes to subjective opinions that are negative, it needs more human interaction to solve, like, sift through that. Mm-hmm. When it's positive, it's positive. There's no negative. It doesn't matter. You don't need another person to be like, wait a minute, you got to talk about why you like it.
Right.
That's fine. You could do that. But when someone hates it, that always requires way more explanation.
That's like cultural too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need an explanation if someone's going to be like, hot garbage. It's like, okay. So thanks, I guess, your opinion, you know? Yeah. It's weird. And some people are just trolls. They really like upsetting people. There's that too.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't get that one. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know why people put anything like that on the internet. I'm like, it's but sometimes that could be where the only place they have friends or
Yeah,
socialization,
right.
you
That's
know,
true.
which is also a big problem now.
Which you think, like, even like with kids' behavior stuff, like a kid is acting out so they get attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's just like when you were a kid and you made fun of the person you liked. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, why are they making fun of me if they like me? It's the same. It's a psychological and defense mechanism to get some type of attention on you from the thing. You know, so some people might just be sad or upset with their life, so they want to call out, or they think they're calling somebody out on the internet. It doesn't really. You shouldn't let it, you know, affect you, or it shouldn't work. But some people do. You know, you ever have anything like that on towards you?
Oh man, not yet. Like I hope I don't have to deal with it because for real, I'm sensitive.
Really? So if someone
Yeah.
said something, you'd actually listen to it?
No, I wouldn't listen to it, but I would think about it.
Oh, really?
And like all of the comebacks that I could say, you know, keep me up at night. But
You already have the ultimate comeback.
yeah,
You're doing
just
the
living
thing.
my life.
No, you're doing the thing, and they aren't.
Yeah.
That's the comeback.
Yeah.
You mic drop it. The second you're doing a band or music and someone says something awful about your band, your music, not responding is the ultimate mic because you're doing the thing.
Yeah. Right.
And they're clearly not doing it because if they were, they wouldn't speak to you that way.
Right.
You know, maybe they'd say it behind closed doors, but they would not say it on the internet. Right. So I don't
think I would respond.
Yeah, but even because what it'll do to your mind later that day, the fact that you might think about it too long. For 5 hours, you just wasted that time.
Right.
You comparisons is this thief of joy, you know. So you just ignore it, keep moving on.
Definitely.
You know, be like, hey, that's their thought. That's fine. Keep going forward.
Yeah.
You know.
It sucks that, like, I was just talking to somebody in Nashville, a singer-songwriter, and I told her, like, I love, like, your stuff online. You know, I'm really drawn to what you've been putting out. And she was like, thank you. I just got bullied on the internet by some people the other day. So, like, that's really nice. And I'm like, dang, that just sucks. Like, you're actually ruining people's day.
Who is the artist?
Oh, her name is Laura Behrens.
Laura Behrens.
Yeah.
I don't know her, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that women might either get it worse or not more frequent, but when it happens, it's a little bit more harsh. There's a little bit more stuff you can get cut at for women because of the way you're raised and the way society, especially when it talks about bodies and the way you look and the way you sound, it's just a little bit more harsh. Just by the psychology of it and the socialization of women. Right. So I think that that might be, that's why I think now that the data's out that young women are having a harder time with social media than boys. I think it's because of those, those reasons. Not that little boys don't feel that stuff. It's just the way we're socialized and told stuff. You do start to let things just bounce off. You get a little bit more bulletproof when you are taught how to be bulletproof. Right. Not that you are fully bulletproof, but you're taught it at a young age. So you just learn it and you're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, I've been punched in the face on the playground. Someone saying I suck on the internet is nothing compared to that. So I'll be fine. And young girls don't have, which is good. You shouldn't have violence, but they don't have some of that. So I think they might, it could hit a little bit harder and quicker. A little bit more ruthless. Just like my own anecdotal thought. You know, I don't actually know, but just how I think about it.
No, I think about growing up and like my siblings, my aunts, my cousins and stuff. They were the worst. Like they've said way worse stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like the stuff they said like prepared me for anything like any internet troll could say.
Yeah. No, there are some families. Some family members can be brutal. Specific families of different cultures have. I mean, holy crap! There are certain cultures out there where, like, the aunts and the moms are just rip you apart.
Going for it.
You gonna go outside like that? What are you wearing? What's with the earring? You know, especially to like the little girls. You know,
yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like my mom, she was always like, "Please don't wear that. Please don't wear it." But I think that's kind of my personality. Like, oh, I love that you don't like that I'm wearing this.
She gave you fuel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Is your mom or dad an artist of any kind, musician?
No, I mean, my mom loves to sing. And my dad, he's like the best storyteller ever. Okay. So I feel like in their own way.
They have creative minds. They just maybe never did the thing like professionally.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But my grandpa, he toured in like the 70s and 80s.
Really?
Yeah, my grandpa.
From the same area, or
Yeah, from Lansing.
you toured in music in a band? That's awesome.
Yeah. It was in like this classic rock band. It's really
Do you remember
cool.
the name of them?
I think it was Sammy Gold or something.
Sammy Gold.
Yeah, they did some cool stuff before he had my mom. We're
Oh.
opening for some bigger people. I'll send you it later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and around in Michigan.
Yeah.
So did he do anything in like Motown, Detroit?
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Because if he's your grandpa, he was definitely active in the 60s.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was just telling me at Christmas that he went to LA once when he was like 16 or 17. Convinced his mom to let him go and play, and went with the band and came back home.
Okay, so it's in your blood a little bit.
Yeah, and my uncles too. My mom's
Okay.
brothers, they have recording stuff. They have stuff recorded. They didn't go out in bands very much, but I think my one uncle did like one show. But yeah, it's like in there.
It's in
floating
there.
around in there. Yeah.
Okay, so you released like they were okay with you kind of doing some of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They were really cool. Like I would be singing really loud in the shower, and my brother and sister would be complaining, and my dad would be like, "She's practicing."
Yeah.
Like he was like confetting me. Like
Oh, that's cute.
yeah,
That's good.
my mom would always let me just really tinker on the piano at home.
Mhm.
They were enamored by it. It's cool.
That's great. I wish more parents were. You got to be strict with your kids, but you got to let them live and be adventurous and get a little hurt and make some mistakes and go outside. You can't helicopter them.
No.
You don't let any of that creativity blossom. They learn at a young age that doing that stuff's bad, so they don't do it. It's not good.
No, my parents were very like, just do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. If you like it, I love it. Yeah, they were very much like that. And I think because they were both kind of like bad in school, that they were like, whatever you're doing to like, yeah. I think they were like, okay, whatever keeps you busy in a positive way.
It's better than what we did, so you're good.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And they're from the same area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How often do you go back to Lansing?
Oh, I go back pretty often, probably like every 3 months if I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been. I think I might have driven past it to go to Toronto,
Yeah.
like through Detroit by Windsor. That's about it. I've never really.
That's on brand with
Being from here, it's like
if you
no. I've wanted to go there. I had a friend who went to school there, but my drummer of my band. But yeah, I never went. Definitely, apparently, don't mess up the name. Say
No, I mean
Michigan State,
exactly.
the Spartans. Now, this is where I met my setup. Did Tom Brady go there or University of Michigan?
I have no idea.
The famous football player. I know he went to one of them. I don't know. But I'm
it's probably
assuming
Michigan. It's probably Michigan. If I don't know.
Yeah, I was saying, if you don't know and you grew up in the era of him being the most famous football player ever, then it's probably not that one.
No.
I was just wondering.
It's not that one.
Is there anything else you want to talk about or promote or let listeners know about before we end?
Well, I would say go check out the album. The Ribbon Dancer album. We put it out in October, and it's just like, so it feels so good to have it out there. So, yeah, definitely want to encourage people to listen to that.
Yeah.
On Bandcamp first. Talk about artist friendly.
Yes.
And then, everywhere else after that.
And they can buy the vinyl through Bandcamp.
Yeah, they can buy the vinyl through Bandcamp.
And it comes with a free WAV file download.
It should.
It should. I think that's what Bandcamp does that. So
okay, cool.
Like inherently, I think it's just part of buying a vinyl through them,
okay.
which I love. So those listening, if you don't know, obviously you can always stream something on Spotify and iTunes. That's fine. But if you buy the vinyl through Bandcamp, you also will get a WAV file download. WAV files are like a lossless, uncompressed audio file. So it'll sound even better than streaming services.
Amazing.
Sound amazing. The highs and highs and the lows and lows. So, but it also is just really great support for the musician. So it's a win-win. You can still stream stuff whenever you want. You can take the physical audio you downloaded, put it on your computer or your phone, and then you got your vinyl for your living room and hangout situation. It crosses every T, dots every I.
Exactly.
So yeah, do that. So everyone can find you on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Yes.
Just everything.
All the places at KNOTTS Band, KNOTTS Band on Instagram. Yeah, that's where we are, and you can find out when we're touring next, which is hopefully in July.
Awesome. And one last question. KNOTTS, are you into aviation or sailing? What's up with KNOTTS?
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out what the band name was going to be, and I was listening to the radio, and there was this artist making this, like, interactive art piece where people could come and tie their worries onto this piece and it, like in a knot. So it's just like all of these knots together, like all these prayers and worries. And it's just the image of that was so cool.
Oh.
And then I like that, like knots can be like untied and tied and tangled. And I feel like that's what I work out in songwriting too. It's just like all these knots.
Are you good with knots? You don't do any special knots?
No, I mean, just like tie my shoes. That's it. Just the bunny ears.
I could talk about knots all day.
Wow. Yeah. Do you know? You might have to teach me.
I did.
Ah, okay.
Growing up on a boat, and going to camp and doing like kind of like Boy Scout stuff,
Yeah.
and I tied a good amount of ropes at the old festival, if you remember. So ropes and knots. There's a lot of cool, clever knots and tricks you can do, and there's stronger ones versus other ones, and tricks to getting them undone. And it's a whole world of knots.
Yeah, like if you were like in a magician situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, slip knots, not the band, but a slip
okay.
knot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of knots. Square knots, a lasso knot, sailor knot. There's proper ways of tying off boats versus other ways based on friction of the rope to hold the weight of the movement. There's a bunch of stuff. It doesn't really matter.
Okay,
Anyway,
cool.
Your band title made me think about it. I was just curious. Anyway, yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. This was fun.
It
You're
was
like,
fun.
wait, we're going to talk for... It's about an hour and 50 minutes. But you're like, why are we going to talk that long? It's like, trust me.
It'll go
Once
by.
someone pulls my ripcord, I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
I'll fine. We'll talk about AI. We'll make people sad. It'll work. Yes, thank you again for being here. Again, follow Knots. Find them everywhere. Support them, buy their record, their vinyl. They have a bunch ready for you. And keep an eye out for when they tour and play shows. Maybe they come by your town. You never know. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, ciao.